Today's story is about a boy who did not speak for a long time. Some people thought he was slow. His teachers said he would never become successful. But that quiet boy was not empty inside. He was thinking deeply. He was asking questions that other people never asked. His name was Albert Einstein. One day, his ideas would change science, time, space, and the whole world. So let us begin the story of Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in a small town called Ulm in Germany. His parents were Hermann Einstein and Pauline Koch. They were ordinary people with simple hopes. His father worked with electrical parts. His mother loved music and learning. At first, nobody knew their baby would become one of the greatest minds in history. When Albert was born, his family noticed something unusual. His head looked a little large. Some relatives wondered if he would grow up like other children, but the real surprise came later. Albert did not speak early like many children. He stayed quiet for a long time. His parents became worried. Some people thought something was wrong with him. They did not understand that Albert's mind was already very active. Albert was quiet, but he was not empty. He watched the world carefully. He looked at small things and wondered how they worked. He did not rush to speak. He liked to think first. Even as a child, his mind moved in a different way. When Albert was 5 years old, his father gave him a small compass. It looked simple, but it changed his life. Albert could not stop looking at it. No matter how he turned the compass, the needle always pointed north. Albert wanted to know why. He wondered what invisible force was moving it. That little compass opened a big door in his mind. It showed him that the world had hidden powers. From that day, Albert wanted to understand the unseen world. When Albert started school, things were not easy. The school system was strict. Teachers wanted students to memorize and obey. But Albert did not like learning this way. He wanted to ask questions. He wanted to understand, not just repeat. His teachers became angry with him. They thought he was difficult. Some believed he was too slow to learn. One teacher even told him he would never be successful. Those words were painful. But Albert did not let them become his truth. Albert struggled with some subjects. Languages were difficult for him, but one subject felt natural to him. That subject was mathematics. Albert loved numbers and problems. To him, math felt like a secret language of the universe. His family helped him. His mother encouraged him to learn the violin. At first, Albert did not enjoy practicing. But slowly, music became important to him. It helped him relax and think clearly. Music became a quiet friend in his life. His uncle Jacob also helped shape his mind. Jacob loved mathematics. He taught Albert in a fun and simple way. He told Albert that math was like a treasure hunt. Every problem was a clue. Every answer was a hidden treasure. This made Albert love learning even more. He began to see science and math as adventures. He wanted to explore the mysteries of life. Albert was not like many other children. While others played games, he often read books. He loved thinking about great scientists and big questions. One day, he asked himself a strange question. What would it be like to ride on a beam of light? That question stayed with him for many years. It was not a normal question for a child. But Albert was not a normal thinker. His imagination was already reaching into the future. When Albert was 15, his life became difficult. His father's business failed. The family moved to Italy. Albert stayed behind in Germany to finish school, but he felt lonely and unhappy. He missed his family very much. He also hated the strict school rules. He did not feel free there. The school wanted obedience, but Albert wanted understanding. Finally, Albert left school without finishing. Many people thought this was a terrible mistake. They believed he had damaged his future. But Albert did not stop learning. He studied on his own. He read science, philosophy, and mathematics. He believed learning was more important than following rules. He trusted his own curiosity. He knew that real education could happen anywhere. At 16, Albert wrote his first scientific paper. It was not perfect, but it showed his powerful imagination. He also tried to enter a famous school in Switzerland. It was called the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School, but he failed the entrance exam. He did well in math and science, but he struggled with other subjects like French and history. Once again, failure stood in front of him. But Albert did not give up. He studied harder and improved his weak areas. He decided to try again. This is an important lesson from his early life. Albert failed, but he did not stop. He used failure as a step, not as an ending. After leaving Germany, Albert moved to Switzerland. Switzerland had a different education system. Students were allowed to think more freely. This was exactly what Albert needed. He did not want fear in learning. He wanted freedom, questions, and ideas. At 17, Albert tried again and entered the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich. This time he passed. It was a new beginning. But even there, Albert was not a perfect student. He loved physics and mathematics, but he did not care much about some other classes. Some professors did not like him. They thought he lacked discipline. Albert often skipped lectures and studied by himself. While many students followed the lessons, Albert asked deeper questions. What is light? How does time work? Why does gravity exist? These questions were not easy. Many people did not know the answers, but Albert could not stop thinking about them. During his time at the school, Albert met a young woman named Milva Marek. She was one of the few women studying physics. She was smart and serious. Milva and Albert became close. They talked about science for many hours. They shared ideas, dreams, and struggles. Their relationship was not easy. Milva faced pressure because she was a woman in science. Albert also struggled with money and his future. Still, they supported each other for a time. They dreamed of making important discoveries. Science was a deep part of their connection. In 1900, Albert graduated with a degree in physics. He was excited to begin his career. He wanted to become a teacher or scientist. But life was not kind to him at first. Albert could not find a good job. Universities rejected him again and again. His professors did not give strong support. Some thought he was too independent. This made his early career very difficult. Imagine working hard for years and still facing closed doors. Albert felt disappointed, but again, he did not quit. In 1902, Albert finally found work. He became a clerk at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. His job was to study new inventions. At first, it was not his dream job. He wanted to be a scientist, not an office worker, but he decided to use the situation wisely. The patent office gave him time to think. He read about inventions and machines. He also worked on his own scientific ideas. Albert began to call the patent office his thinking place. After work, he studied light, time, space, and energy. His dream was still alive. In 1903, Albert married Milva. They lived a simple life. Soon, they had a son named Hans Albert. Money was still a problem. Albert's salary was not high. His family lived in a small apartment and struggled. Some friends told him to focus only on his job. They thought his scientific dreams were too difficult, but Albert refused to let go. He believed passion was worth struggle. He kept writing and thinking. He worked late at night after finishing his office work. Then came the year that changed everything. In 1905, Albert was only 26 years old. He published several papers that shocked the world of science. Scientists later called this his miracle year. These papers were not written by a famous professor. They were written by a simple patent clerk. One paper explained light in a new way. Albert said light could behave like small packets of energy. This idea later helped him win the Nobel Prize. Another paper helped prove that atoms were real. At that time, not everyone fully accepted atoms. Albert's work gave strong support to the idea. Then he introduced the special theory of relativity. It changed the way people understood time and space. It showed that time and space were not as simple as people thought. From this work came his famous equation, E equals mc squared. It showed a deep connection between energy and matter. The science world was surprised. A young office worker had changed physics. Albert Einstein was no longer invisible. After 1905, scientists began to notice him. Slowly, doors opened. He received teaching positions and became a professor. But Albert did not become proud. He kept asking questions. He believed curiosity was more important than fame. By 1909, Albert's ideas were known across Europe. People began to call him a genius. But Albert stayed simple in his way of life. He did not care much about expensive clothes or rich living. He cared about ideas. He wanted to understand the universe. In 1914, Albert moved to Berlin, Germany. He received an important position at the Prussian Academy of Sciences. This gave him more time for research. But around this time, the world became dark. World War I began. Millions of people suffered because of the war. Many scientists supported the war, but Albert spoke for peace. He believed understanding was better than violence. During these years, Albert's personal life became difficult. His marriage to Milva began to break apart. Fame, stress, and distance hurt their relationship. In 1919, Albert and Milva divorced. It was a painful chapter in his life. But Albert promised to support Milva and their sons. That same year, something amazing happened. Scientists tested Albert's general theory of relativity. They wanted to see if gravity could bend light. The results showed that Albert was right. Gravity could bend light. This discovery changed how people understood the universe. News spread around the world. Newspapers wrote about Einstein everywhere. Suddenly, a scientist became a global celebrity. People were amazed by him. They wanted to hear him speak. They wanted to understand the man who changed space and time, but fame was not always easy. Albert was Jewish, and the world had prejudice. Some people attacked him because of who he was. Albert used humor to handle pressure. He understood that people often judged others unfairly. Still, he continued his work. In the 1920s, Albert traveled to many countries. He gave lectures and met scientists. People welcomed him like a star, but Albert did not want fame only for himself. He used his voice to speak about peace. He also supported minorities and refugees. He believed science should help humanity. He believed knowledge should make people wiser and kinder. For him, thinking was not enough. People also needed compassion, but criticism also grew. Some people tried to attack his work. Others did not like his ideas about peace. Albert stayed calm. He knew that new ideas often face opposition. He believed great minds must be brave. In 1933, danger came to Germany. The Nazi regime rose to power. As a Jewish scientist, Albert was no longer safe there. The Nazis burned his books. They insulted his work. They called his science dangerous and wrong. Albert left Germany and moved to the United States. He settled in Princeton, New Jersey. He joined the Institute for Advanced Study. He was heartbroken by what was happening in Germany, but he continued to believe in hope. He said that inside difficulty, there can be opportunity. In 1940, Albert became an American citizen. He spent the rest of his life in the United States, but his heart still carried pain from war and hatred. During World War II, Albert's name became connected to a terrible invention. His equation helped explain energy and matter. This knowledge later became part of nuclear science. Albert signed a letter warning leaders about the possible danger of atomic weapons, but he did not build the atomic bomb himself. Still, he felt deep sadness about nuclear destruction. When bombs were used in Japan, Albert was troubled. He worried about the future of humanity. For the rest of his life, he spoke against nuclear weapons. He believed humans needed wisdom with knowledge. Science without peace could become dangerous. Power without kindness could destroy the world. Even as one of the most famous people alive, Albert lived simply. He did not care about luxury. He often dressed in a very plain way. He did not like rules about appearance. He sometimes did not wear socks. He liked sailing, even though he was not a strong swimmer. Albert's curiosity never disappeared. Even in old age, he kept asking questions. He wanted to understand the deepest laws of nature. He worked on a dream called the unified field theory. He wanted to connect the forces of nature into one idea. He did not finish this dream, but he never stopped trying. His health became weaker in his later years. Still, he continued thinking and working. His mind stayed alive with questions. On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein died at the age of 76. His final words were spoken in German. The nurse beside him did not understand them, so his last words were lost forever. But his ideas were not lost. They continued to change the world. Today, the name Einstein means genius. But his story is not only about intelligence. It is about curiosity, courage, failure, and patience. He was the boy who spoke late. He was the student who did not fit in. He was the young man who failed an entrance exam. He was rejected from jobs. He worked in a patent office. Many people did not understand him at first, but he kept asking questions. He kept learning. He kept believing that his curiosity mattered. Albert Einstein teaches us that being different is not a weakness. Sometimes, being different is your greatest strength. Your quiet mind may hold powerful ideas. His life teaches us that failure is not the end. A failed exam, a harsh teacher, or a closed door cannot decide your future. Your next step matters more. He also teaches us to stay humble. Even when the world called him a genius, he stayed simple. He knew there was always more to learn. So, my friends, this is the story of Albert Einstein, a quiet boy who became a voice for science and peace, a man who showed that one curious mind can change the world. Thank you for learning with English with Ani today. Keep listening, keep practicing, and keep asking questions, because curiosity can open the door to greatness.